Don't need that.
There we go. All right.
We all good?
All right. Yeah. Technical difficulties, as always.
We always
What's
run
going
into
on,
something. Yeah, it's all good. What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Thursday. We're close to the weekend.
Hey, the combine's going on.
And the combine is on behind my camera as we speak. I'm watching these quarterbacks run their 40s. So we'll see what comes of this. But yeah, man, there's actual physical football related activity that you can watch on TV if you've got the NFL Network. It's pretty fun, pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah, and I mean, we touched a little bit on the combine because it was technically the first day of the combine on Tuesday, but and while we don't have official measurements from everybody at every position as it stands right now, there's some stuff to talk about with this combine as it's going on right now.
Yeah, the tight ends are working out today. The quarterbacks and tight ends are working out today. They took some measurables on the wide receivers, so those started to come in. Hand size. I think they did verticals today.
Yeah,
they did like
the Kenny Pickett hand size story made its rounds today.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
The talk of the town right now is the size of Kenny Pickett's hands. So that's that's fun. Maybe that'll propel him forward in the 40 a little bit. Just less mass.
More momentum, less mass. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not
a scientist.
Yep, not a physicist or whatever's required to figure that type of stuff out.
There you go.
But hope everybody's excited about that because it's the first. Again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but it's earlier in the week. It's the first domino to fall of the offseason is watching the rookies work out in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and it's the first real predictor that we have for anything rookie related. And for the past few streams, we've kind of hit on rookies pretty much every stream.
They come up at some point or other.
Or free agents that we like. But today we're doing something a little bit different. While we are focused on the combine and anything that happens in the combine, I thought it would be fun to talk about some landing spots for some of these players instead of just continuing to talk about these players the same ones over and over.
The player themselves. Yeah.
Right.
Sure. I mean, half of the offseason is speculation, right? I mean, at least at this point, because we don't know what's going to happen with free agency, and with the draft a couple months away. It's like, well, might as well try to make sense of where the most feasible spot is for some of these guys. So with that said, did you have somebody in mind that you wanted to start off with, or do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to run through the positions and talk about the teams that have need at those positions, who has the draft capital and the caps or the cap space or lack of cap space necessary to sign free agents, which would lead them to draft somebody instead of going all out on this free agent wide receiver, running back, or quarterback class.
Right.
So we could kind of get a head start on some landing spots for some of these guys, or at least start that thought process.
It's the one thing that I always kind of forget until the offseason actually gets here as it pertains to the salary cap. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
Like the cap is almost not real. Teams just like they'll just like, we're just going to restructure this contract. We're going to restructure that contract. We're going to kick the can down the road.
It's prohibitive. You're seeing teams do what they need to do to get under the cap. You're seeing the Packers make moves to restructure Kenny Clark. You're seeing the Saints restructure Michael Thomas. You're seeing these moves.
Yeah, they convert. What generally happens is they convert base salary into a signing bonus, and that essentially frees up money for this year. It just increases the cap hit down the road. But then again, you could just do the same thing in 2023. It's like,
how did the Saints get to having negative $70 million in cap space? That didn't happen in a year. That happened because they kept on making moves like this with specifically Drew Brees to kick it down the can, kick it down the year or whatever. You know what I'm.
Kick the can down the road.
Yes. Long day.
Get the pieces together.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. But yeah. I mean, that's what happens. And yes, the cap you can do. I feel like the Cowboys are at the right there on the cap, a little bit over the cap every year, and it doesn't affect them all that much.
No. They're again. You just convert base salary into a signing bonus and call it a day. So teams, if a team wants to make a move and bring somebody in, they'll find a way to do it. Ultimately.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how they're just gonna re-sign Chris Godwin. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
an additional tag they could use.
They have $2.3 million in cap space, but they have tools in their arsenal to where they can still re-sign a guy and not have him count against the cap this year and a whole bunch of stuff. So
sure,
yeah, but it is one of the few sports, or at least American sports, that has a hard cap. A lot of these other sports, they don't have a hard cap. There are even more ways around it. But yeah, for the most part, the NFL, I mean, they're playing with monopoly money. But let's dig into it, man. Like with these quarterbacks, I see a good 5 teams that could really go out and draft quarterback in the first or second round.
Yeah, I mean, one of the teams you just mentioned, Tampa Bay. I don't think anybody anticipates Kyle Trask being the week 1 starter, or Blaine Gabbert for that matter. Now the Bucs probably feel like they have a more ready-made roster to compete. So maybe they don't, and with Bruce Arians being in his 70s, maybe they don't necessarily want to roll the dice on a prospect.
So they're not on my list of teams that would draft a quarterback.
They're an interesting landing spot for a variety of things. Bless you. For a variety of things, but a rookie quarterback might not necessarily be one of them.
Yeah, I think they go with more of a stopgap option.
Yeah, I mean the teams that are in the top 10 that could actually use a quarterback. Now the question is, are any of these quarterbacks this year worth that high of a selection? I think the general consensus is not really no. But you've got the Giants, who are a question mark. I'm coming off
of the Giants drafting a quarterback based off of, what the coaching staff, what the GM, and what the front office has been saying.
Probably with the 5th and 7th picks this year, it probably makes more sense to go in a different direction. But nobody expected them to draft Daniel Jones at 6 a couple of years ago.
Like I think they're gonna. They have smart people finally in the GM chair, in the coaching chair, at least. We're projecting a little bit. We think they're smarter than the last people that were in those seats. The smart thing to do would be to trade out. If you can trade out of the 5th or the 7th pick with, say, the Washington Commanders, who sit at 111, or the Denver Broncos, who sit at 109, or the Pittsburgh Steelers, who sit at 120, or or even
you get the idea. Yeah.
Trade back with the Panthers, who sit at 106, because although they don't have the draft capital to really trade up unless they want to mortgage future drafts, because they have a 1st rounder and then a bunch of 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders. So they don't have a lot of draft capital. But I would see the Giants making a move like that.
Get your maybe favorite player at 5, or even if you think your favorite player will be there at 7, flip 5 for even more of a haul.
Yeah, because then you're only gambling with one spot there where the guy that you like might be taken. Because if you're trading out, chances are it's for a quarterback, and then if you're moving from 5 to 7, you only have to really worry about.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to are quarterback needy teams going to make a move like that? They might, like a team like Washington might feel like they can stay at 11 to make sure that they're and they'll likely end up with one of the 3 guys that I think are generally being considered to go in the first round. That's Pickett, Corral, and Malik Willis.
Look, I know that the draft or the fantasy community has a viewpoint or a stance on these quarterbacks that isn't very positive.
No.
But what fantasy managers, owners, and analysts are latching onto might not be what an NFL team latches onto in reality. So NFL teams could be a lot higher on these quarterbacks or certain aspects of these quarterbacks, the potential of some of these quarterbacks, more than fantasy analysts. And we always see quarterbacks rise up the draft rankings closer to the draft, and then by the time we get to the draft, 3 quarterbacks are being taken in the top 10. I mean, it
feels like that's not going to happen this year, but I hear you. It's I
think 3 might get taken in the top 20. I think so.
I think 2 will. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say 3 yet.
With Denver at 109, they have no holes. Really, when you look at that team, that's a solid defense, and their offense is loaded. The only thing they need is quarterback. When you look at the Panthers at 106, and then they have a bunch of 5th rounders, 6th rounders, and 7th rounders, they're going to go quarterback.
You better
There's
go
no way the Carolina Panthers don't go quarterback at 106. So right there, within the top 10, there's 2 teams that pretty much have to go quarterback. That's not even talking about the Commanders or the Steelers at 120 or any other team in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few teams that could use a quarterback, and some of that will, of course, be resolved in free agency. Jahan Dotson's about to run the 40, by the way, right now.
Ooh.
So that'll be an interesting little thing to see. But yeah, I mean, quarterbacks are risers in the draft. That happens all the time. The team that would probably benefit the most would probably be Carolina, but Washington is there too. Like they've got nothing going for them right now at quarterback, and it's hurting their entire offense. Let's see what Jahan Dotson does here. A 4.41 unofficially for Jahan Dotson.
That's pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. It's just his first attempt, so he can run again if he wants to, but 4.41 for Jahan Dotson. Take notes. It's pretty good. So, yeah. What's he, 5'11", about 178 pounds?
I don't have his measurables up.
That's what it says on the TV right now. I'm looking through my camera. I'm watching TV and talking at the same time.
Boom.
Excellent use of multitasking right there. But just wanted to call that out. Yeah. Washington would benefit. Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin could sorely use a competent player at quarterback. Like with Carolina, Christian McCaffrey is kind of like quarterback proof, assuming he's healthy. The guys that would benefit there, of course, like DJ Moore, we're waiting.
I mean, they have a ready-made team, and we've been talking about them for a while. They have a decent defense. They have a ready-made offense, ready-made team, ready-made offense, and they're ready to go as soon as they hit that quarterback. As soon as they hit on that quarterback. Same with the Commanders. They pretty much have a fully fledged offense, fleshed out.
Yeah, that could use another wide receiver probably. Yeah, the defense fell off and did not meet expectations.
Didn't meet expectations, but the expectations were top 6 in the NFL.
Yeah, the expectations were high. I mean, they fell off pretty hard. Now, Chase Young missed a lot of the season due to injury, but they fell off pretty good. I don't think a team is going to need to.
I mean, the Manders' number one need is quarterback.
Quarterback, no doubt.
You could even go to the Indianapolis Colts, who have their first pick is 215, second round, 15th pick.
Yeah, so they're going to be.
They might need a developmental guy. They might need a guy that can come in right now. So I think they're a threat to take either wide receiver or quarterback with that 215 pick. Yeah. The Houston Texans could go either way on Mills. I think they stick with Mills.
I think they stick with Mills for one more year, and then they figure it out in 2023, assuming that they get maybe a pick haul that they're hoping to land in whatever type of Deshaun Watson deal ultimately maybe goes down. I would think that that's what they do. I mean, the other team that's going to be in play here is the Saints, who we mentioned earlier.
I've kind of I'm lumping them into that Texans group, that Philadelphia Eagles group, where I think they run it back with the quarterback that was their quarterback last year.
With Taysom Hill? Why? Or you think they're re-signing Jameis?
Yes.
Okay. If they're the front runner to re-sign Jameis, then sure. But the contract length there will be pretty telling. Is it a 1-year prove-it deal? Because then they might put the pressure on him and draft a quarterback, which you can debate whether that would be the right move or not, but teams do that type of stuff all the time. If they get an opportunity to have a veteran and then still draft a guy pretty high that they intend to give a look to eventually, they could go that route. Because they have a ready-made defense. Their offense is there's question marks everywhere.
Right, but then to that point, why would you want to throw a rookie quarterback to the Wolves with an offense that is so lacking at pretty much all points, especially with the question mark that is Alvin Kamara right now?
Yeah,
that's just not a smart thing to do. That's how you ruin a rookie quarterback, regardless of his potential.
You would play Jameis, right? You would play Jameis this year, and the first round rookie quarterback develops, right? Sits on the bench, learns for a year. The thing about the NFC South is with Brady retiring, that division's completely wide open. So the Saints could also surprise everybody and just end up with a veteran. It's hard to pinpoint what's going to happen with these quarterbacks this year, because there's more than a couple teams that need a quarterback, but also Falcons, probably feel like they can compete this year.
Falcons are probably 1 year away from a quarterback. I don't know if they do the quarterback thing this year. I'm lumping them in with the Eagles and the Texans. I think they roll with their veteran 1 more year.
Yeah, they could. It would probably make sense for them to, maybe, if I just mentioned the NFC South is wide open. Maybe the Falcons want to try to take a run at the division, but if they find that, right before the trade deadline they're not in it, that would probably be the time to try to find a suitor for Matt Ryan and get your pick haul. But
I find it hard to believe. I know every NFL team is trying to win the Super Bowl, but I find it hard to believe that realistically in the Atlanta Falcons front office they're thinking they can make a run while they're thinking about trading Calvin Ridley. like those are two counterintuitive moves. And I know Calvin Ridley won't just ain't, his mind isn't right to play with that team.
Right.
But they're number 1 wide receiver, and we're going to talk about wide receivers in a second. I think this is a pretty good moment to switch over with talking about the Atlanta Falcons. They're running out there with Russell Gage as their number 1 wide receiver for...
And maybe not even. He's a free agent.
Oh, yeah.
They might be running out. They might be writing out Zacchaeus as their number 1.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Zacchaeus and Frank Darby, 2 wide sets. Nah.
Olamide.
They're not.
Olamide? What's his ADP?
I don't know. But looking at the Falcons, they have
open.
negative $7 million in cap space, and they currently have the 108, the 211, the 226, and the 310. So they have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think we could see with them specifically an overhaul for their entire offense from a skill position standpoint, because they're one of the few teams with 4 picks in the first 3 rounds and need at wide receiver and running back and a cap deficit. $7 million under the cap. They might not be able to re-sign a Cordarrelle Patterson.
If he's asking for anything other than a vet minimum, they probably need to forego that, because regardless of his talent and whether he made you a believer in him this year or not, he's over 30 years old, and the Falcons, like you said, sorely need to just kind of overhaul their roster at this point. Regardless of if they think they can win the division this year or not. So I could see that. Yeah, I mean, they could be a landing spot for a running back. They have so many more needs. So many more.
I think they go
needs.
Wide receiver. Whoever they go in the first round at 108, and then at 211 they go either wide receiver or running back, and then at 226 they go either wide receiver or running back, and then at 310 they go BPA.
Sure.
I really do think they go mostly skill position players with their first picks, because they have such a need at both wide receiver and running back, and it's not just a one position fill at wide receiver. I think they need to draft 2 guys. And there are going to be guys there in this draft. I mean, at 211, maybe the top tier guys, the top 3 guys are gone, but maybe one of your favorite guys, maybe they're looking at a Jameson Williams. Maybe they're looking at a George Pickens. Maybe they're looking at a David Bell. One of the guys around the turn, a Chris Olave.
David Bell, who just ran his second 40.
And what was it?
4.62.
Okay.
And his first attempt was a 4.64. So not very fast as far as straight line speed. I mean,
that's not the end all be all, but
no, take the 40 with a grain of salt. Obviously, when you see a 4.4, it makes your eyes jump. But when you see a 4.6 or worse, it's like bleh. But it's not the end.
Best wide receivers,
not the end all.
The
not the end all be all.
As some of the best wide receivers in the NFL that ran that fast. You look at a Keenan Allen, not the most athletic wide receiver in the world, far from it. He's just a technician out there. So, not the end all be all if a wide receiver runs in the 4.6s.
No, they're okay. This one's going to be a fun one, though. Traylon Burks, here he comes.
Oh, all right. Let's pause the landing spot speculation. We got to see about this one.
See how he runs it. What was his first attempt? I must have missed it. Slade Bolden for Alabama just ran a 4.62.
You think this guy's going to heun Calvin Johnson numbers?
Burks ran a 4.55 his first time up. Here's his second run. And his vertical came in a little on the smaller side earlier today, about 33 inches. So here he goes. Come on, Traylon, get on your horse. There you go. A 4.5 flat.
Okay, that's very good.
I mean, he's 6'3",
6'3",
right?
220, bro. That is very good.
You can't be mad about that. A 4.5.
230, not even 220, dude. 230. 6'3",
built
232. And he ran a 4.5. That's crazy.
Yeah, this man's an athlete.
That's crazy.
So there you go. Traylon Burks is in the books for the 40.
To put that into perspective, he's not as fast as DK Metcalf, who was 6'3", 228 and ran a 4.3. 4.33.
Well, DK Metcalf tried out for the Olympic team.
Well, I mean, that's who people were comparing him to
speed. When
people were referencing Traylon Burks' speed. They were talking about how he reached 22 miles per hour, and that was the same speed that DK Metcalf did on that chase down, and there was all that. But DK Metcalf is the much better, much faster wide receiver prospect coming out. But those are very good numbers for Traylon Burks.
Yeah, you can't feel anything but good about that. The vertical was a little on the lower end, but I mean, all he did was make big plays and was hyper targeted. I'm not overly concerned about a 33-inch vertical for a guy who's 6'3". Like 33-inch vertical, you're still getting up there.
And that's not even to talk about arm length. I mean,
just based on his size. So he'll be fine. Here comes Dotson's second run.
But what's going on, Theo? What's going on, Iron? Good to see you.
4-4. What's going on, guys? 4-4-7.
Let's get to these questions while you're watching the combine, and before we get back into the
4-4-7 for Dotson's second run. So his first attempt at 4-4-1 was better, but still sub 4-5 both times. Good showing by Dotson.
But Theo, should I get rid of my second overall this year for a 2023 and another piece? I'd have 5 first in 23, and I want to make sure I have full control next year.
Well,
I mean, what were you thinking? Who were you thinking of taking at second overall? Were you thinking?
Yeah, would you benefit from having Breece Hall? Like,
is Breece Hall going to be there? Are you thinking Treylon Burks is going to be there? Is this did you talk to the guy who has 101 and kind of know where he's going?
Mm-hmm.
And is the 2023 pick? Where's that guy at this year? Is he the 110? Is he the 103? What are you?
What's his team look like? Who you would be doing this deal with?
And where is your team? Are you smack dab in the middle of a rebuild, or are you contending? Because if you're contending,
I'm pretty sure Theo's rebuilding. He has his pick.
Oh yeah,
call.
I think I remember that too.
He has his pick call. It's just a matter of like, well, do you really want? We're all. It's no secret. Everyone's excited about the 2023 class. But that's not to say that the top options this year aren't worth
the
grabbing,
top options this year compared to the top options next year. It's the whole problem was that
end up with one.
There's really only 4 real elite guys and 7 real blue chip prospects in this year's draft versus next year's draft where there could be 12, 14.
Sure. Which is to say, your second overall pick is quite valuable.
And what's the another piece?
Could you argue that the second pick this year is because of the lack of depth this year? The second overall pick might be more valuable than the second overall pick in 2023.
I'm not going to go there because I don't know enough about the prospects from next year.
We know enough to feel confident that the depth is much stronger, which boosts the value of picks that are later in the draft.
For those that are in the know. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with other analysts that or other league mates that watch this show, maybe they know.
Sure.
But that's a hard thing to gauge. That's a hard thing to gauge. Do you want to have a shot at winning now, or do you want to get pretty much the same player? Because if you have the second overall pick, chances are you were probably going running back there.
Nothing wrong with Breece Hall.
There's nothing wrong with Breece Hall. Nothing wrong with Isaiah Spiller if Breece Hall does go 101, and nothing wrong with Treylon Burks. If you can stomach waiting a year and you feel like that other piece is enough, do it. Our problem with the 2022 first round draft picks is the top 4 draft picks are the ones with the real first round value, to where it's like really predictive. You're picking one of these guys, they're gonna be real good. You pick a Breece Hall and Isaiah Spiller, they're gonna be real good.
And you have one of those now. Like, you have one of those picks. One of these top 5
one of the
picks,
the top 22 picks are the same as what we're projecting at this point in time as getting pretty much any 2023 pick. You just don't want a back end 2022 pick. That's where it doesn't match up. Considering you want to tank in 22, try to get a second in 2023 out of them, and really, if you're putting it back a year, if you're pushing it back a year, then get the most in 2023.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Like,
make that point. I gotta run my doorbell just rang. I gotta see what's up.
Oh, okay. Go get your package or whatever it is from Amazon that you're getting. Just that, the point that I was thinking, Theo, is yes, the general ask anybody on our channel, anywhere else. It's like the 2023 class is where it's at, right? But when you are in pole position to get one of the top 5 prospects this year, I think you can ask for somebody to pay a premium for that pick. Like, how, if you want Breece Hall, if you want Treylon Burks, if you want Isaiah Spiller, you want to come up and get him, come with it with your offer. Because you're going to get pretty damn good players in the back half of the 2023 first round. And John just mentioned a minute ago, we might not necessarily see the same hit rate that we are expecting in 2023. We might not necessarily see the same hit rate in 2022. So from that perspective, my asking price to move out of a top 5 pick, and in your case, the second overall pick, I think you can ask for that extra pot sweetener. You can ask for that extra piece, that extra asset, where it's like, okay, now I have no choice but to say yes to this offer. So, yeah, see if you can, like John kind of mentioned, in addition to the 2023 first, see if you can get a little extra, because you don't have the 107, you don't have the 108. I mean, you have one of the premier top 5 picks this year. And again, all of these guys that are expected to go in the top 5 are expected to be hits. Burks, Spiller, Hall, and then, depending on how you feel about the guys like Drake London and Garrett Wilson, all these guys are now expected to be good. We were on this channel a little lukewarm on Drake London as recently as a few weeks ago, but the general consensus is his stock seems to be rising. People seem to be warming up to Drake London and his skill set and what he's going to bring to the table.
He's an interesting guy to look out for in the combine and what his measurables are.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to keep track of. I haven't seen him yet, even though the wide receivers are working out right now.
But basically, go and try to get a 23 first and a 23 second from the guy that you're trading with. Yeah. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I'm with it.
I've also been in talks in trying to get Noah Fant. I was willing to throw 201 or 202. Thoughts?
Sure, yeah. If you believe that Denver's going to get anything in the form of an upgrade at quarterback, I am a proponent of trading for any Denver Broncos pass catcher. Like trying to get any single one of them.
I don't love Noah Fant.
I'm fine with taking a shot on Noah Fant. The 201 this year for Noah Fant. Yeah.
If that gets it done, go for it.
I'm in on that.
Because he has as much athletic upside as anybody. My only thing is they've locked up every wide receiver pass catcher they have on their team. Jerry Jeudy was already on their team for a minute, or he's still on his rookie contract. They re-signed and extended Cortland Sutton. They re-signed and extended Tim Patrick. They're not going anywhere. Albert O is still there and is always going to take some production away from Noah Fant. So it's not that I don't see Noah Fant ever hitting. It is. I don't think Noah Fant ever hits the ceiling that people are projecting or were projecting for him due to his athletic upside, because there's so many mouths to feed in that offense.
I think it doesn't take it.
And Melvin Gordon's probably going to resign there.
They might bring Melvin Gordon back. Yeah,
it's just a lot. And unless they get an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson, I don't know if Noah Fant works out. Now he's young and he's super athletic. Mm-hmm. There are worse tight ends to tie yourself to.
Yep.
But you have to be wary of the fact that, Noah Fant hasn't gotten it done to this point. There's a reason why you can throw the 201 in a weak class at an owner and get Noah Fant. I think
that's a great move.
I love his RAS. There are tight ends with high RASs that never got it done.
That they don't pan out. Yeah, sure. It happens. Like, you can be an athlete, but are you?
O.J. Howard, Evan Ingram, just as high athletic upside as Noah Fant. And what?
This is an actual question, not like a challenging question. Has Noah Fant suffered an injury to the extent that, like, O.J. Howard has torn an ACL, Evan Ingram has suffered multiple injuries, I think like knee injuries. and hip injuries. Evan Ingram had hip issues, has had hip issues, like weird injuries that are not common and difficult to overcome. Has Noah Fant had something like
no?
I'm gonna take. I'm just curious to
right shoulder.
Okay.
A bunch of strains. A bunch of strains. Knee strain. Ankle sprain.
Ankle sprain. Grade 1 ankle sprain.
So nothing significant. No.
So to that point, I'm willing to take the plunge on the 201 for Noah Fant.
He's only 24 years old.
Yeah, man. I mean, we talk all the time about how tight ends can be late bloomers and how we're not the only ones who end up being a year early on tight ends. It happens all the time, and it's it just comes down to it's just such a difficult position to expect results right away. And I would say Noah Fant is ahead of the curve in that regard. Maybe, relative to his personal expectations, it's been a little bit of he's fallen a little short, but in a vacuum compared to his counterparts at the position, I would say all hope is not lost yet. At least not for me.
No, I find himself, for me at least, falling more into that. And I know, again, maybe these comparisons are off because Hunter Henry is a tight end that suffered a lot of injuries.
Yep.
But athletic specimen at the tight end position, and while he was a Charger, was always propped up a little bit and tended to finish around tight end 10, tight end 9, tight end 11.
Yep.
And I feel like that's Noah Fant. Take out the injuries that Hunter Henry has suffered, and I feel like he's a really good NFL tight end who means more to an NFL team than he probably will to your fantasy team. But for a tight end that is only 24 years old, 24.2 years old, so a young 24 years old will be 24 years old when the season starts. If you can get away with sending the 202 to get Noah Fant, that's a good trade. It's a good trade.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, Theo. I'm on board with that, and I prefer Fant to taking a shot over Cole Kmet, at least for now.
Hey, if you're trying to really solidify your tight end position, try to trade both your 201 and 202 this year for both of those guys.
Try to get both of them. Screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with all the picks you have in 2023, which again is the one that's the draft that is highly anticipated. I mean, so top 15 picks this year are not the same that they will be next year. Like the 201 next year, I probably don't want to move that pick. This year, I feel a little bit more okay about doing that, especially for a guy who I still believe in Noah Fant. And yeah, at that cost, I think that's worth the roll of the dice.
And while I don't think he's ever going to be a top-tier option, he has the same athletic measurables as George Kittle.
Yeah, I think all he needs is just a minor quarterback upgrade.
The tight end position and him at the tight end position like the San Francisco 49ers have ever treated George Kittle. He is a weapon for them, and he is one of their top options in their pass game. Noah Fant is never treated like that, and I don't know if he ever will be, and that's the issue for me. But
I'd like to
talent-wise, that trade is a good trade to me.
Yeah, I'd like to see even a marginal upgrade at quarterback for the Broncos before deciding if, because you can say all the same stuff that you're saying about Noah Fant about like Jerry Jeudy.
No, it's a problem for the whole offense.
It's a problem for the entire
offense because with the exception of Javonte Williams, because there are so many good skill position players that will demand some sort of target share from their quarterback, regardless of who it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm buying Jerry Jeudy and not Noah Fant. I'm not buying this offense outside of Javonte Williams. That's my problem.
Okay. That's fine.
And even Noah Fant has a much more consolidated target share Cole Kmet has a much more consolidated target share than Noah Fant.
Yeah, I mean, with Kmet, he has a clearer path to being a focal point especially with the assumption that Allen Robinson moves on, than Fant does. But with the high RAS, which has always been kind of a default indicator of how much we like a prospect or not, and his is good. Just a marginal quarterback upgrade from the likes of Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, who are not NFL starters. I'm dead serious when I say this. Jimmy Garoppolo would be better for Noah Fant, like would be an upgrade for that whole offense to a point where it's like, okay, I'll take that shot. I'll take a shot on Noah Fant. If I know like Jimmy G is his quarterback, feel better about that than Teddy Bridgewater. Feel better about that than Drew Lock. Like kind of clearly, because those two guys, that's not a high bar to cross. So like a situation like Denver, I don't think it's going to take much in the form of a quarterback upgrade for those guys to be buys, for players in that offense to be buys. I think they've been watered down by horrible quarterback play from Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm going to make two more small points, and then we can move on. Even if Aaron Rodgers goes there, I can only point to one season in which Aaron Rodgers really targeted his tight end, and that was a season where his only other legitimate target was Devontae Adams in 2020. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers going somewhere doesn't mean all of a sudden his tight end is a great fantasy tight end.
No, it doesn't.
And I maintain Albert O is still there. He's 6'6", 260 and ran a 4.49. He's just as much as an athletic specimen as Noah Fant. Maybe even more so. He might be even more of an athletic specimen from an RAS perspective, even though he didn't coming out test the required measurables to have a RAS score because it was during the pandy. If he would have, his RAS score would have been on par with or better than Noah Fant.
Where was Alberto drafted?
Fourth round. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather chase the first round.
I would,
draft grade.
I would too, especially again for the 201, 202.
Yeah. But I'm fine with that trade.
You're probably getting a tight end 10, tight end 8 for the rest of his career. That's all I'm saying.
I'll take that upside. I'll take the shot at that upside.
There you go. Especially for the 201 or 202. But yeah, make that trade. Make that trade. Make both of those trades, Theo.
Like send the 201
and
for
the 202 is not too much to offer for Kmet. If you can get
I don't think so.
If you can get Kmet for the 202, I believe he had around 800 yards receiving last year and just didn't score any touchdowns because again Jimmy Graham was there.
Yeah, do you have like the 206 or the 207? Like start with that as your offer. And if not, then do the 202. Like ultimately, like you're like, I know I'll give up the 202, but let me see if there's like this late second that they'll go through. And play off the fact that maybe he is still flying under the radar because despite the yardage, he didn't score, and that might, the Kmet owner might hold that against him, which would work in your favor.
Yeah. So, hey, man, if you can spend the 201 and 202 and get both of those tight ends, young, athletic tight ends, in what should be ascending offenses, go for it. One of those guys, I think, you'll hit the lottery on as far as tight ends, and at some point have at least a top 8 option perennially. So, yeah, I like those moves.
I would take those chances. I would be fine with that. Because this tight end class, this tight end class is not,
You have 5 seconds this year? Yeah, then start from the back and move up.
Start from the,
Don't start at the front and move back.
Even if you start, like, if you've got 2 of them after like the 205, like offer one or 2 of those.
Yeah.
Offer one or like if it's the 207 and the 210 or, something like that, offer that. I would rather
give 2 of those and try to get a second in 2024 and just say, hey, look, I'm giving you 2. This guy's
giving you
worth
2 now.
1. give me something on the back end later down the road, since you are rebuilding and you are giving up draft capital in this year's draft, and a lot of people aren't playing the long game.
Right.
A lot of people want as many as they can get right now, and they're not thinking of the overall talent pool that they're investing in. So if you can take advantage of that, I would do that. Yeah.
There you go. I'm good with that. Are we done with workouts today? No, it doesn't look like it. It's going into the evening. Okay, they're taking a media break.
Well, let's talk about some of these. I mean, we have speculated about the top wide receivers in this class.
Ooh, the wide receivers their on-field workouts are starting up next.
We got on-field workouts right now. Let's speculate some of the landing spots for these guys.
Sure.
Because we can talk about them as prospects till we're blue in the face, but we've spoken about this at least once on a live stream. Lots of times we're super high on a prospect until we figure out he goes to a place that we don't really like.
Yeah,
and he falls down drafts. That happened last year. I mean, everybody liked where Jamar Chase went, but a lot of people didn't like that Amon-Ra St. Brown
was the one who
fell to the Lions
in the 4th round, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know.
A lot of people didn't love the Jalen Waddle landing spot because they weren't sold on Tua.
They were worried. Yeah, there was some uncertainty about the Dolphins this time last year.
And that's going to happen in this year's draft. I've looked at mock drafts where Treylon Burks was mocked to the Cleveland Browns. And hey, I got to admit, didn't really love that when I'm looking at upside for where Treylon Burks, where I want him to go. In my brain, I'm thinking, alpha wide receiver. I want him to go to like the best quarterback so we can see the most touchdowns scored. That's what I want. But that's not how it's going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, let's take a look at these teams that need wide receivers. We already mentioned the Falcons.
Yeah, they need a receiver.
Early up, the Detroit Lions have 4 first-round picks in the first 3 rounds. 102, probably not going to spend on a wide receiver there. But
they'll get
the 32nd pick.
Thibodeau or something like that.
They got the last pick in the first round.
Yeah, they have 32. That's a prime spot for a wide receiver, most likely.
They have 202, so they could double up if they really wanted to.
Yeah, you can get whichever,
with that roster.
Get whatever you want there.
Right. But they could forego wide receiver at 132 and just get one at 202. Get one at the 34th pick the next day. And they also have the 302. So
it depends on if the kind of like quarterbacks, not nearly to the same extent, but wide receivers are risers by the time the draft comes around too, because owners and GMs and coaches fall in love with offensive playmakers. We see it happen all the time. So they may not be able to afford, they might, the 202 might be a prime spot for like a David Bell, who just ran a 4.6 and probably didn't do a whole lot to help his stock, but also didn't do enough to hurt
Dotson,
it.
Who probably propelled his stock
might end up
higher
there
with a sub 4 or a low 4.4. So
Dotson might be there. They'll have their slew of options. I would be hard pressed to believe that they take 2 in that little range that they're in.
Not.
They need defense in the worst way.
Yeah.
Literally anywhere.
Yeah, their best defensive player for a long time was Darius Slay, and he gave him to you guys. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need some help at all.
They need help there desperately, sorely. But they need to.
Yeah, one wide receiver is going to get picked there within the first 3 rounds for the Detroit Lions. It's probably not going to be at 102. It's probably going to be one of these guys that you can get in the 2nd round. It's probably going to be another Amon-Ra type situation.
And then the question is, will we be all over that come draft time?
Another team that needs wide receiver. I just talked about them with the mocks and people writing articles mocking Treylon Burks to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns at 113 and 212 and 314, and they have a compensatory 3rd round pick. They have need at wide receiver. They're probably going to let go of Jarvis Landry, or try to trade him. Then they have DPJ and Anthony Schwartz, who did nothing last year, and Demetric Felton, who did nothing last year.
Well, people are intrigued by the upside potential of DPJ.
As am I, but they're going to draft another wide receiver. So there's going to be one of these. At some point, somewhere. Yeah.
Maybe not 113.
Maybe not 113, but it's a possibility. Stranger things have happened. And even at 212, I mean, we could be looking at Chris Olave.
I think he might get up into the first round.
I think he could be too. But a lot of times we see at least one of these highly touted wide receivers fall.
Somebody falls. Yeah.
So one of these guys might fall to the Browns at 212.
I think it might be like it could be like a David Bell type, where maybe Pickens like might fall a little bit. Yeah, like if Dotson just ran a 4.41. If these workouts are starting right now, Traylon Burks is about to run. Is this the cone drill? Burks is about to do something, but no, this is just literally
But there's going to be a run at wide receivers in the second round. I bet you there's going to be a run on wide receiver in the second round because there is going to be a pocket of first round wide receivers. But teams have other needs, and especially in a defensive line, offensive line heavy draft, they're going to go to those positions that they have graded higher before they go to wide receiver. But if you look, Indianapolis Colts 215 have need at wide receiver because they lost T.Y. Hilton, have nobody opposite Michael Pittman.
Is he? They lost? Is he a free agent?
Yeah.
I mean, I know T.Y.'s at the end at this point, but
I mean, the Bills are probably going to go first round defensive line, maybe offensive line, but that second pick, I mean, I think they're going to go. They're going to try to find the most electric playmaker they can find, whether that's running back or wide receiver. I could see them going.
They're in play. They're in play for a wide receiver. They're in play for a wide receiver.
Tampa Bay, wide receiver, second round. Eagles, if they use all their first round picks to trade for a quarterback, they could go second round wide receiver. They could go second round defense, whatever. They could use all their first round picks on defense, and then in the second round go wide receiver. The Saints, you talked about the Saints having need at quarterback. They're prohibited by still negative $42 million in cap space. They go 217, 118, 217. They could pick wide receiver first round, quarterback second round, whoever falls, or vice versa.
I think they're a prime. They're going to add a wide receiver. The Saints will. There's no doubt. The Titans could. I mean, Julio Jones is Hall of Famer, we saw what happened.
They have the 126 and the 326. They don't have a second round pick next year.
They feel like a prime Jameson Williams landing spot. The Titans are notorious for taking those types of chances on guys coming in off an injury. That feels like way too early gut feeling, like as far as landing spots. Jameson Williams to the Titans feels like a real thing.
The Patriots only have $8 million in cap space right now. They don't have a lot of people that they can free up and a lot of contracts they can restructure. They pick 121 and 222 and 321. They're gonna get a wide receiver in there. They have to. They can't roll out there with Christian Wilkerson and Kendrick Bourne again. They have to.
Yeah, they need another guy.
Now there are gonna be a bunch of teams in here that go and get wide receivers that we really haven't covered. We saw it last year. I had never heard of Nico Collins or Josh Palmer, and then they got drafted in the third and fourth round, and they came on our radar. Same thing's gonna happen this year. There will be wide receivers we will have never covered before, and they will go to a team that we like, and they'll get pushed up boards because of it. So while the Chargers have need at wide receiver, I don't know if I can put them in that bucket.
Let's pause for a second because Iron's got a question.
I'm sorry, man. I could ramble forever. What's going on, Iron? You like Kevin Harris for your rookie draft?
We do. Oh, I meant the question about Penny. See that?
Would you rather use Penny to trade for a first in a little bit,
or Saquon?
Barkley to trade for a first in a little bit.
I think Saquon's a good buy low. I do.
But if you're using Penny, so you have Penny, you have Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
And you want to trade Rashad Penny right now?
Like, does he get him for? Does he trade Penny for a first, or does he trade Penny for Barkley? Would the first be this?
Barkley's younger than Penny, isn't he?
Who, Saquon?
Yeah.
I think he is. Saquon feels like a good buy low right now because, to your point, you just mentioned not too long ago that the Giants maybe finally did some smart stuff when it comes to their front office. They don't have a bunch of doofuses in there anymore. Gettleman is gone. Joe Judge is gone. Daboll is in. This is a Giants offense that you have to, at the very least, feel marginally better about. Yeah. Saquon is a buy low for me. Saquon is a buy low. Is it a massive risk? Sure, but so is Rashad Penny. So give me the upside of Saquon. If you can get that, if you can get Saquon for Penny, and maybe you have to throw in a little something extra just to do the deal. I'm fine with that. I think Saquon bounces back maybe in a way that Joe Mixon did this past year compared to his 2020. Saquon's going to be
if you look
a full
at the
year
squad,
removed from the injury.
If you look at that squad, they have a ready-made squad. It just didn't work out for them last year. They have their wide receivers. You can speak to the caliber of their wide receivers, but they have Kenny Golladay for better or for worse. As long as he can stay healthy and they give him a good quarterback, he could turn things around. This is an offensive unit that should be able to turn things around. There are targets in the short to intermediate pass game with Evan Ingram not being there anymore that are open. Some of those should go to Saquon Barkley. I just saw it come across the wire. Cut Devontae Booker. I just saw it come across the wire yesterday, I think. Sterling Shepard. They're forcing him to take a pay cut.
They're negotiating a pay cut with Sterling Shepard. I don't think they're out of the running. I don't think they're out of the running of drafting a wide receiver.
I think they are. They weren't on my list.
I think the Giants, Kenny Golladay was a colossal disappointment last year. Sterling Shepard and
was their best wide receiver, most consistent wide receiver last year. He was a PPR low-end wide receiver too until he got hurt, which is always.
And that's the caveat. He's always injured, and I'm not that I'm rooting against Sterling Shepard, but
so is Barkley.
He's not reliable. Well,
but
this is a running back with volume we're talking
this trade,
about.
I mean, Rashad Penny, we talk a lot about selling at peak value. Right now is peak value for Rashad Penny. I don't see him continuing to ascend. I don't see him turning into Derrick Henry.
No,
I've seen people speculate that Derrick Henry was also a guy who was lightly used early in his career as a big running back, and once they started giving him full-time role, he blew every other running back out of the water. Rashad Penny did that for a 6-game stretch.
Yes, he did.
But now's the time to sell. I don't think his value will get any higher. If you can trade Rashad Penny, who's older than Saquon Barkley, for Saquon
freaking Barkley,
who, even if Saquon Barkley doesn't do a whole lot this year, next year, they've already speculated they're not going to sign him to a 5th-year option. And if he doesn't do the most with the workload this year, they're not gonna extend him. They're not going to extend him. So he's going to go someplace else. He's going to have a better situation. So even if it doesn't work out this year and you find yourself wanting to get out from Barkley next year, I don't think his value will have fallen yet. Completely. Not completely. Not to the point where you couldn't get a first and a little more for Barkley a year from now at worst. So it's a great that's a great deal.
I would explore that without a question.
Yeah.
The first would be nice, but Saquon, we've seen Saquon's ceiling. Is he the RB? Does he ever hit RB2 ever again? Maybe not. Can he be an RB1 for a fantasy season? If he gets the volume, yeah. And they drafted him 2nd overall not too long ago. He'll get the volume if he's on the field.
I mean, you compared him to Joe Mixon. What if he's Leonard Fournette and he just needs to leave the Jaguars? Right, the Giants, he just needs to leave the Jaguars and go to a team that paid to get him and knows how to utilize him correctly and smartly more in the pass game than the running game, and keep him fresh with another stable of running backs there of lesser talent.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Right. Then he sees his full potential again.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think you gotta. Yeah, if you have a chance to trade Penny for Barkley, I think that's a slam dunk.
And the Giants are going to do whatever they can in the draft, and maybe in free agency as well, to upgrade the offensive line. And there's nowhere to go but up when your offensive line is the worst in the league. And outside of like Cincinnati, the Giants have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. It will not take much in the form of draft capital this year to improve the offensive line. I would absolutely try to get Saquon. If I can get Saquon for Rashad Penny, I'm sleeping.
That's a slam dunk. That is
slam dunk. Sleeping like a baby at night.
Yeah, because you're hoping that first and extra, that whatever that extra is
turns into Saquon.
Asset. You're hoping maybe
they
have a
maybe
sniff at Saquon value,
like 65% of it,
right?
Or 70% of Saquon. That's what you're hoping for.
Less than 700 career rushes, like.
Yeah.
You talk about that 1,800 touch cliff that Nick
he's
has
nowhere
brought up
close
multiple
to it.
times.
He's nowhere close to it.
Great stat, and he's nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Yeah, slam dunk.
Yeah. See if you can get Saquon, Iron. I'm on board with that. I do think the Giants will be in the wide receiver market, though, to kind of shift back to landing spots.
That's interesting. I hadn't really explored them as a landing spot for wide receiver.
At 5 and 7, maybe not.
Because I mean, Darius Slayton, we don't love him, but he's still there.
Yeah, he's a 6th round pick who is wildly inconsistent. There's no way you can easily upgrade over the likes of Darius Slayton. You can upgrade over Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard is a nice complementary piece, but right now there are times where he's being asked to be their number 1 wide receiver. That's not good enough. Kadarius Toney remains a complete wild card. Yeah, he's still young, second-year player. There's no reason to give up on him yet, but complete wild card. He had one game. He had one game as a rookie, and now does he have a less tumultuous offseason this year? We sure hope so, because that probably contributed to his kind of disappointing rookie season. But the Giants are not settled at wide receiver just because they doled out money to Kenny Golladay and have Darius Slayton. I would not be surprised if the Giants end up with a wide receiver from this class. Again, 5 and 7, maybe a little too high given they have tons of needs.
It would probably be in the back end of the draft, and it would be one of the guys that we've never heard of before. I think that's likely for the Giants. Sure. I don't see them going up and getting one of the top 10 wide receiver prospects in this year's draft.
Maybe not. No, they need offensive line. But where are they as far as the second round? They have the 36th overall pick and the 67th overall pick. They could absolutely, yeah. I think they're going to be in play for a wide receiver. I really think so.
That would be the most Giants move ever.
Yeah, but You know what? I can't even hate the this potential strategy just because their current options are so uninspiring. The only one with even a lick of potential or hope is Toney.
If one of the top 10 wide receivers go there, that's just a fade spot for me.
Keep in mind.
That's
fine.
That's not an exciting landing spot to talk about. So I'm gonna switch gears.
Oh, I'm just gonna say one last thing. Didn't even want to talk about is it worth an investment or not from a fantasy perspective. But remember, the Giants general manager, was it Mara himself, came out and said about Daniel Jones, we have done nothing other than set this kid up to fail. Or I'm paraphrasing, but something around that was kind of what he alluded to.
Right, but what did they do in 2020? They signed the best wide receiver on the free agent market, and they drafted a wide receiver in the top 10. Well, whether or not it was the best move on either end, they tried to shoot their shot. The
philosophy was there.
Maybe they said that comment, and they're thinking, we haven't given this guy the best chance to succeed because he's had no O-line.
Yeah, because he's on his back.
And he has no protection. And as soon as we get him some O-line and protection, maybe he's not throwing ducks and getting his wide receivers hurt with the throws that he's making.
Yeah, it's a combination of all of those things because that's no question their biggest need is probably offensive. Well, as far as I'm concerned,
I don't
their
see
biggest
a wide receiver as a need for them at all.
It's not necessarily a need. It's just at this point, at this day and age, with the NFL being the passing league that it is, as far as I'm concerned, almost every team outside of like Cincinnati, every team has a wide receiver need, and I guess the Rams.
Yeah, but I mean, you look across the NFL. There are teams with, if you were to rank where wide receiver ranks as a priority for them in this offseason, there are probably 25 teams that would rank higher if you look at who they have right now and the moves that they made in the last year.
Sure,
so, yeah,
fine.
I mean, you got the Raiders just lost Henry Ruggs.
Yeah,
because
they have a need.
They have a need.
They have a need.
They might re-sign Zay Jones. I think they will re-sign Zay Jones. But they have a need for wide receiver. A wide receiver could go there, and that's another landing spot where it's like, it's not the most exciting landing spot. Personally, I'm hoping all my favorite wide receivers go to the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Buccaneers.
It's going to be the Falcons, the Saints, like those teams.
The Cardinals. The Cardinals have a need at wide receiver.
Yeah,
they lost Christian Kirk. They lost AJ Green.
They might lose Christian Kirk.
They might lose Christian Kirk. He was having dinner with Josh Allen. He might be coming to Buffalo.
Oh boy.
Off-season speculation.
Off-season speculation season. You love to see it.
But I mean, they're probably going to re-sign one of James Conner or Chase Edmonds, but not both. They're a unique
one of those
here.
two is walking
at wide receiver and running back, just like the Atlanta Falcons. There are only 2 teams in the NFL that I see, maybe 3, Tampa Bay, that really have need at both positions here. The Cardinals are one of them. And they technically have need at tight end too, because they might like Max Williams. They would have to re-sign Zach Ertz to keep him there. And they're under the cap right now. They're over the cap right now by $800,000. Not a lot.
So they're kind of right on the line.
But it does mean that they're going to have to use their draft capital to do a lot of the legwork to fill out those pieces. They're not going to have the draft capital to fill 5 offensive, or they're not going to have the money to fill 5 offensive spots. 2 running backs, a tight end, 2 wide receivers. They're going to be drafting somebody. They said at 123, 223, 323. They're drafting somebody. They could go 123. They could be in on Garrett Wilson. They could be in on Jameson Williams. And then at 223, they could be in on Kenneth Walker. And they could completely
I think they get a running back. That's a team I think gets a running back.
I think they get a running back and a wide receiver.
Yeah, they certainly could.
I think they get both. They wanna try to keep Kyler Murray head on straight with the team.
Yeah,
so they're gonna be like, hey, look what we did for you.
Right.
Stop doing stupid things on social media. Come back and play for us.
Now, let's see it on the field.
And the Falcons, there's no way we're all speculating one more year of Matt Ryan. But they're not going to want to roll into 2023 with nothing to surround their future franchise quarterback with, because they're hoping to draft their future franchise quarterback in 2023. I would put money on it.
Probably next year, I would assume.
So you go out and you get your wide receivers, your 2 wide receivers and a running back of the future, and then whoever that you have, it's off to the races as soon as you got him. The Atlanta Falcons are going to draft somebody too. High, 211. They sit at 211. They can go at 226, 310. They're going to go out and get a wide receiver. The Chicago Bears, their first round pick, or they don't have a first round pick.
Their second round pick.
207 and 307 is where they
need
sit.
a wide. Yeah,
they'll
go
wide receiver
they're
at 207.
Ooh, some of these rookies are going to have some interesting landing spots.
They are, man.
Theo, is that a move that you like? Is that like smash accept? Is that official? Sent 207, 29, and 212 for a 2024 first. I mean, hey,
yeah, it's a win.
if you did that, cool. It's like, all right, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a win.
Yeah, like I have no. I mean, look, it's.
If I have anything,
somebody's there's going to be at least a couple of late round hits just because there are every year.
It's those wide receivers like the Josh Palmers and the Nico Collins that come out of nowhere.
But we're willing to take a shot on selling late seconds this year because they have some value just by nature of being second round picks, but they feel a little bit more devalued this year because of the expectation of the depth of this class, or I guess the point I'm trying to make here is the lack thereof.
Yep.
So I'm fine with that roll of the dice. Look, somebody's going to be drafted in the third round of rookie drafts this year, and he's going to be good. Like, it's going to happen. I don't know who, but it's going to happen. But if you can land, when the dart throws feel more and more like a dart throw this year, where it's like it's truly an unknown with some of these guys after you really get past the first round for a 2024 first. Can't hate that. Can't hate that one bit.
No, you want the biggest guns in your arsenal, and those are first round picks.
Yep.
I hate to make a war analogy, but yeah, if you can trade second round picks, especially late second round picks for first round picks in any year, especially if you're rebuilding and can afford to wait and push it down the road, whatever that analogy was.
Kick the can down.
There you go. Thanks. That one. I'm never gonna get that one.
Maybe
yeah, it's
time.
worth it, man. That's smart move.
Yeah, I feel fine about that.
Specifically in this draft where seconds don't have a lot of value.
Yeah, they just, again, somebody's gonna hit, but the hit rate, the general consensus is it might be lower this year. It's almost expected to be lower this year. Watch this class explode.
The wide receiver class is the only piece of this class that we're really high on.
Yeah, I mean, after the top three running backs, it's kind of a crapshoot, and it's hard to really put all your chips in one basket on one of these guys outside of the top three. The quarterbacks are not being highly touted. The tight ends, is it Jahani Davis or from Virginia? He's having a nice day at the combine today. But again, outside of McBride and maybe it's Weidermeyer.
Yeah, Jalen Weidermeyer.
Maybe those two who looks like, there
are other names in there. There's Jeremy Ruckert I've heard thrown around. There's Isaiah Likely who I've heard thrown around.
Gershich from UCLA.
Right. Greg Dulkick, I think. Dulkick.
Not 100% sure.
Charlie Kolar.
Mm-hmm.
There are names in this draft. Again, I got to wait until the combine is over to see how they fit in. But with these wide receivers, you really got 10 good prospects at wide receiver.
There's some good wide receivers to feel good about, yeah. But to that point, they're going to move up the board by nature of, there's nothing else to feel good about in the early second round. So by the time you get to 207, 209,
by 207,
you're going to be like, I don't know what to do here anyway.
In a super flex, that's probably the last good wide receiver. In one QB,
they're gone.
Worse.
They're gone.
It's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can get Desmond Ridder there in one QB or something like that. But it's like, let's kick the can down the road and get a 2024 first. That's the play.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see where some of these later wide receivers go. I've heard a lot said about Wan'Dale
Robinson.
Jalen Tolbert seems to be everybody's dart throw dark horse.
Robinson seems to be the he's that for some people as well. He's like the deep sleeper.
John Mechie came from a good program, lit the world on fire. John Mechie,
similar to Jamison Williams, coming off injury. So we'll see how he does as far as bouncing back.
Calvin Austin looks to be Tavon Austin. Tutu Atwell type. He's gonna get drafted high.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't. Don't spend any draft capital on him. That's exactly the type of wide receiver I don't like. 170 pounds? No.
It's a little too dicey.
Little too small, and not like stout small. Literally, he's 5'8", 270. That's not an NFL body type. He can't hold up.
He's got a very small frame. Yeah. Right. I mean, could be a good gadget player, nice little special teamer here, or like a punt returner maybe.
But Christian Watson, look out for my boy Christian Watson. 6'4", 208. Basically has that Drake London profile, but he's much faster. It's a faster Drake London without the breakout age.
We'll take it.
Yeah, but that's the type of guy that you're shooting for at 207, 209. And there's like a 33% chance that they really turn into a prime fantasy asset you could start every week. So. And that was an offer. Hey, see if it gets it done.
Oh, okay. It was an offer. Gotcha.
See if it gets it done.
Yeah. See if that gets it done. Yeah, that's the thing about like taking those shots for a first round pick a couple of years down the road. It's far enough away where you can get away with maybe like a good package for pieces right now, but the 2024 that puppy's gonna appreciate in value, not depreciate. So.
Yeah, and
I think I said that right.
I think so. and we see it every year. I mean, there are fantasy assets that we all like that don't do much year one that you can usually try to trade to get if you're still high on them after a year one where they didn't produce. I'm looking at like Terrace Marshall. This year, he could still turn into something as long as they get a good quarterback. I'm not huge on Robbie Anderson. Terrace Marshall could still turn into something. He's a prime buy low for me right now.
Yeah, you could get him for nothing probably.
Right. So if in trading away these second round picks, it doesn't mean you can't go and get some players you were high on from this draft down the road too.
You could also always just get them back if you wanted to.
That's what I mean.
Like maybe not, like once like you could replenish those picks somewhat easily with another trade. So,
yeah.
Trade season.
But these we talked about teams that need quarterback, teams that need wide receiver, teams that need running back. We already mentioned the Arizona Cardinals and the Atlanta Falcons. But the Buffalo Bills need running back. The Miami Dolphins need a running back. They're not going to roll out Duke Johnson and Myles Gaskin again. Excuse me.
Maybe they should. Duke was a stud at the U. That's all I'll say. It was a long time ago, but
yes, it was.
I refuse to give up on my boy Duke Johnson.
Duke.
Seattle probably need. I mean, we were talking about Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny was had a really nice stretch to end the season. But
I got a question. What's
going to happen with him? A 1-year prove it deal? Go.
There's been pretty much everybody has written off Chris Carson completely. I bet you could go out and you could trade 2/4 for Chris Carson right now because everybody thinks he's never going to play again.
Because the concern is he's done.
Try to hit up the Chris Carson owner and be like, hey, how much does Chris Carson cost? Can I throw you a third in 2024 to get Chris Carson? Would you do that? On the off chance that, I believe he is still signed there. And they're all saying
they signed him to a contract a couple of years ago.
Right. They're all saying right now that he's still their number one running back.
He's on
for next year.
This is a 2-month-old update at this point on Sleeper, but the expectation is he should be ready to go when training camp starts.
First of all, 1-year buy because his contract was void in 2023.
I don't believe a damn word that comes out of Pete Carroll's mouth. I don't. So it's hard
Rojo Fish, what's going on, man? You're never late.
What's up, Rojo?
A wizard arrives exactly when he means to, right?
Exactly when he means to. There you go. anytime this is maybe just me. It's probably not just me. It's probably a lot of people. When I hear neck injury, man,
for the opportunity cost, if you can get
I know. I mean, look,
RB2
like sure.
For
I don't even know if I want to give up a third. I don't even know if I want to give up a third. Because at least with the third, I'm I can take a shot on a young rookie who based on when the time comes, I can identify like, all right, this guy might have this guy doesn't have too far. He's not too far away from an opportunity, because at that point, that's what you're looking for, right? A guy who's not maybe too far away from an opportunity.
You're hoping that you end up with a Khalil Herbert and not a Kene Nwangwu.
Sure.
With those third-round picks, if you're going at. Yeah, but I mean, hey, you got Elijah Mitchell.
I got Mitchell in the third.
Some people got Josh Robinson the year before for a third. So
or Palmer. Yeah. So I want to look. That's more often than not. You're not going to hit with a third round pick like that. But I'd rather take a chance on a dude who at least I know is healthy. Or let's put it this way, is not coming off a season-ending neck injury, where at the time, doctors were advising that his playing time days should probably be over. Now, post-surgery, maybe the diagnosis is different from the diagnosis 6 months after. Maybe that changes. I just give a lot of pause to an injury like that.
Oh, I do too. I was not even contemplating this before.
So
really,
no, I'm not hitting up the Chris Carson owner. I'm not. If you want to give him to me for free, I guess I'll give you
a few fourths are to me. If I can
1/4. I'll do one.
Yeah.
I'll do 1/4 in 2024. I'm sorry, I can't go high. I can't. Okay. Yeah, it's like, look, right. It's not for
I was just
not.
Wondering. I was
it's
just
not for not liking Chris
in.
Carson. Yeah, it's not for not liking Chris Carson. It's just like that. I don't like neck and
because you're hoping for a 60-30, 50-50, 30-60 chance, that 33-66 chance that the draft pick that you're picking in the late third is an NFL caliber running back. We know Chris Carson's an NFL caliber running back. You're just betting on
no doubt
50-50. Does he come back healthy? So you're
right.
I feel like you're betting on the same percentages. You're just going for the younger person if you're holding on to your draft pick.
Yeah, like Chris Carson's the proven product. I just
if I'm a contender and my running backs aren't super deep and I have a 4th round pick in this year's draft, I think that I'm sending that to the Chris Carson owner just to throw another depth piece on my roster for the hope that he can compete for one more year and then kick him to the curb. The opportunity cost ain't a lot.
Sure. Okay, I mean, fine. If I know that my team is good, if I know it's like I have a bona fide top.
Yeah, rebuilder should not be doing this.
Maybe not even top 6. Maybe it's just like I'm top 4 in this league. And I feel confident about that. All right, fine. Sure. But if it's anything more than a 4th or 2, maybe a couple of 4ths, I'm not sure how interested I am in that, just because I hope Chris Carson's healthy. I want Chris Carson to be healthy. Yeah, he's a fun player to watch when he's healthy. But that's the question. That you can say all you want. Oh, he's going to be ready until training camp. But I gotta see that. I can't just believe you on it. So
what's going on, Brett?
Hey, Brett. What's going on? Nene, what's going on?
What's going on? And good to have you with us here, Rojo. Appreciate you tuning in. Any other news other than Pickett having baby hands?
Pickett's got baby hands.
No, I mean we've seen
Dotson. I mean, Jahan Dotson ran a nice 40, ran a 4.4. That might have been a little somewhat expected.
Willis isn't running today. He's throwing though.
Yeah, he's not running. Who's the Virginia? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the Virginia tight end's name. Jelani Woods. That's right, Jelani Woods. He's having a nice day. I think he ran a 4.6 in the 40, so that's for a tight end.
That's a guy we're looking at as a high RAS guy that can be had late in rookie drafts because nobody.
Jelani Woods is having a nice day. I think he's got the second fastest 40 for the tight end so far. Looks.
You know who this was last year? Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble was thought of as a little-known blocking tight end.
Yeah.
And then he had a hot combine and posted some good measurables and ended up being the 3rd tight end taken in last year's draft.
And he's a very interesting prospect long-term.
Yep. Super
interesting. So Jelani Woods is he's having himself a nice day right now in Indianapolis. So got to feel good about that guy. Dotson ran a 4.4. Traylon Burks ran a 4.5 in the 40.
David Bell 4.64, I think.
David Bell 4.64, and then followed it up with a 4.62. So, but we've seen. I mean, it's okay. We've seen guys do all right despite a 40 time like that. That's it
Mostly
so far.
It's all about Kenny Pickett's hand size.
Right. It's all about Pickett's got baby hands. So that's about it. But speaking of Pickett, among the other quarterbacks, Nene's asking if we're starting the franchise today, who are we taking? Of these 3 rookies, probably for me, it's again, if I'm starting an NFL franchise, that's not fantasy, I'll probably take my chances with Corral. I think he's the best pure thrower of the football of those 3 guys, and he faced SEC competition, so I feel a little bit better about him.
Yeah.
Malik Willis is obviously the prototype for today's type of quarterback. He can, he's a little bit more of a dual threat. I'm just a little bit worried about some of the accuracy issues with Pickett. With the hand size, we microanalyze freaking everything these days, don't we?
He's got the stellar 1 season. That's what
he has. The one year.
Everybody's draw to him is the 1 year that he had this past season. From a prospect standpoint, and what he did at the Senior Bowl. Now, at the Senior Bowl, he did go 6 of 6 in the Senior Bowl game. But if you watch the game,
he had a good Senior Bowl.
It's from a stats perspective, from a stat sheet, whatever. But when you watch the game, his wide receivers were making insane catches that shouldn't have been caught. They were either thrown over him or thrown too short. Now, that could just be unfamiliarity with your wide receivers and the playbook that you're using, because that's such a condensed arena to be playing in on all
it's like
aspects.
A single game. Yeah.
So it's still, at the end of the day, you can talk about how his throws weren't the greatest looking throws in the world. Still 6 of 6 in the rain, in some weather.
Mm-hmm.
This is better than Malik Willis. It's better than any of the other guys throwing there. Sam Howell.
Or Corral wasn't there. Yeah, Sam
Corral
Howell.
wasn't there.
Sam Howell,
Carson Strong, better than him too. So Corral's the safe pick. Pickett feels like Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson was the guy that nobody was really talking about. Had a great season, made some great throws at his pro day, and then everybody was mouth-watering over him, calling him the next Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like that kind of riser is Pickett. Hot year, didn't make the throws in this pro day that were making everybody's mouth water, and this hand thing is at least interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel like Kenny Pickett and Zach Wilson come in with around the same. That's the arena you're playing in with them.
Right. And
it's so hard, man. It's so hard because none of these guys are really separating themselves from the pack from an NFL standpoint. You can talk all about Malik Willis's athletic measurables and what he brings to the table in that from that standpoint. But yeah, none of these guys have separated.
He's got some accuracy issues to work on.
Yep.
So yeah, Mike. Yeah, appreciate the assist. Yeah, Dotson came in 5'10", about 180 pounds. So like that, you feel okay about that. I feel fine about that. Like the measurables are there. Another guy, and this is courtesy of Daniel Jeremiah, who's having a day, is I think it's Sky Moore.
Yep.
This kid can run. Daniel Jeremiah just tweeted out, or it was about an hour ago at this point, that he's not getting out of the second round. So, we were talking recently about like we kind of went down the list of teams that could use a wide receiver. If there's a team that we think can wait until the second round, that guy might be the pick for somebody like a Chicago, something like that. Like the Giants. I mentioned like the Giants. Maybe they take a shot on somebody like that. Or who else who is in the second round that could maybe like the Browns, something, a team like that. So Sky Moore having a nice day as well in Indianapolis. But
I don't know if he jumps the top 7 guys, but he could absolutely be taking over a Wandale. He could absolutely be taking over a Jalen Tolbert, Justin Ross, John Mechie, those guys. Yeah.
I don't know if maybe he leapfrogs a guy like Bell. Maybe. But Dotson, I think, has put himself squarely in the conversation for the back half, or not the back half, the very end of the first round. I think Dotson stock went up a little bit today. Not that it wasn't.
And Mike Diggs, he's probably going to go ahead of
Sky Moore jumped
our rankings
Wandale.
Yeah,
Sky Moore jumped Wandale today. That seems to be the general consensus. He's had a nice day today. So it's fun, man. It's fun. The combine. This is where you can really start putting pen to paper as far as like tracking these measurables, these.
Fun.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And Brett, we missed your comment there, and so with Theo. So Chris Carson and Penny together, Seattle's first offense would be pretty decent.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be good, and I hope Carson's okay. I would love to hear Carson's going to be fully healthy for training camp, no restrictions, no issues, or even just like he'll be limited coming back and maybe he has to miss the first couple games of the season, worst case scenario, but ultimately he's going to be fine and his long-term health is not a concern. I hope all of that is the case. But hope is different from knowing, like that's my only thing. I want him to be fine. I want him to be able to play football. I also want his quality of life to be as good as it can be as well.
Yeah, because he was turning into one of the most fun running backs to watch.
He was a slam dunk value of the 4th round, like in drafts. For
he
2.5
he was catching the ball
straight.
Finally from Russell Wilson. He was always a good runner, a violent runner. But yeah, he was. I feel like he was just putting it all together, and then the injury.
And then the stupid friggin' injury of all things. So yeah, I hope he's fine. I really do.
And Theo. I don't worry too much about lowballing. Throw an offer out. See what happens.
John's not worried about lowballing because John is prepared to negotiate until the end of time.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure every
if
fantasy
you say no,
that I play with in a league is probably like, oh, man, this guy again.
Dude.
I mean, don't lowball. But start with an offer that you can negotiate up from, because there are times when you don't even need to negotiate up from your first offer. They just like your first offer.
Right. Yeah. If he gets offended by the offer, then you'll be like, okay, that was my first offer.
Yeah,
Here's my second offer. There's
nothing wrong with that. But no, I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Slim, thanks for joining us.
What's going on, Slim?
Jason, thanks for joining us.
What's up, Jason? Hope all's well.
And Rojo, you're all in on Dotson then?
All in on Dotson.
Right.
I think he might sneak into the, that 20, 28, 29, 30 range of the draft at this point. I mean, he's putting some nice things on paper here today in Indy. Mike, I have not seen Pickens run his 40. I saw some of the wide receivers run the 40, but I did not see Pickens in that group. Treylon Burks was in that group. Jahan Dotson was in that group. Those were the two more highly touted names that were in the group of receivers that I saw run the 40. I did not see Pickens go.
Yeah, and I don't see anything coming across the ticker about Pickens either. But what he did, what has been teased with Pickens in the past 24 hours was that he says that he can run in the 4.4s, maybe even in the 4.3s. which would be
well, let's see it.
insane for what he comes in size, speed wise. That would be insane for Pickens if he could do that. He would be a big riser if he can do that, especially if he gets into the 4.3s. But
yeah, I
think
he's
mid to low 4.4s.
If he goes, he's 6'3", almost 200 pounds.
Blow everybody out of the water. Everybody's expecting 4.5, 4.55.
And just checking, because Bleacher Report is keeping the scouting profiles up to date on these guys. Pickens has not run the 40 yet. They would have input it by now. So, and this is just one source, but Pickens has not run the 40 yet.
And I like Pickens more than Dotson. I'm not afraid to admit it. From a pure prospect standpoint,
he's enticing.
Taking out the athletic measurables because they're incomplete right now, I had Pickens over Dotson. If I am at the turn 201, 202, I'm looking at Dotson, or I'm looking at Pickens over Dotson. Landing spot aside. Now, landing spot can obviously change that. But I like Pickens a lot.
I mean, if you prefer a guy with size, if you prefer the physical, the physical stature, you're gonna like Pickens. But I mean, 6'3", 200 is a pretty significant difference from 5'10", 180. But like Odell Beckham is 5'11", so it can be done. Deontay Johnson is like 5'10".
Oh yeah.
So Jalen Watt, like these guys, like Dotson, not too worried about. I agree. I'm very intrigued by Pickens. But Dotson's stating his case right now, or has been today so far. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So I like them both. If you have if you've got like the 110 and the 202 or something like that, you're going to be in play to get both of them if you want.
Yeah.
If you really want to. And you should, because as we mentioned earlier, the only thing with any type of depth in this draft, like right now today, in March of 2022, are the wide receivers.
Look, I'm rebuilding, in every single one of my picks. I have 5 of them right now in the first 2 rounds. It's probably going to be a wide receiver, because I really like the wide receivers in this class. And to be honest, outside of 2.5 running backs, I don't really love any of the other prospects in these draft at other positions. So, yeah, this is go. Don't be afraid to go wide receiver heavy in this draft.
What's Dixon's? I forget Dixon's first name. He came from, I think, Nebraska. They're catching the quarterback, like your Caleb Ellaby's and I think it's Crum from is it Kent State? These are the quarterbacks that are throwing right now. So,
And yeah, Rojo Fish.
These throws are a little off target.
Rojo Fish, that's great to see. Honestly, if you can move that 201, 202, and 203 into a first-round pick that's higher than the 109.
I mean, hell, you're going to be able to get a good collection of talent right there if you just stay put.
Yeah. You are.
Because I like Jamison Williams is going to be in play if you like him. Yeah, Dotson is officially in that group. Pickens is in that group. I agree. I kind of like David Bell, but the 4.6 40 is a little like, it's like, all right, okay, let's see a little extra.
You got to be a supreme technician at everything else to be able to max out.
Yeah, I think that's what he's being. I think that's what he's being billed as.
I've heard comps to Rashad Bateman as somebody coming in
who
could do everything well, but nothing at an elite level.
I saw Bateman as a comparison for David Bell. So yeah, I mean, if you believe in Bateman, then maybe Bell's the type of guy for you. But it looks like he's probably going to fall maybe closer to the middle of the second round of rookie drafts, unless an NFL team falls in love with him and pushes his draft stock back up a little bit, which happens all the time. So we'll see.
But yeah, hey, I mean, it depends. If you got a team where you don't feel bad about cutting 7 players to make room for these rookies, go for it. But if you got a team where you got
there's Bell.
only
made a nice catch.
4 spots really open, at least from what you're projecting at the beginning of the season, you might not have the space for all of those draft picks. come the beginning of the season. So that's something else that you got to think about. A lot of draft picks are great. It means you're going to have to cut people. And depending on your team makeup, you might not have people you really want to feel, or that you really feel good about letting go for nothing. So that's something to always think about. I like the idea of consolidating a bunch of draft capital to get the best picks you can.
He was competing
quality over quantity.
Bell had a nice little. I mean, he tracked the ball okay there. Did okay. Caught it. It's fine. Sorry, I'm just staring. I'm staring at the combine. I don't usually have the TV on in the background, but y'all understand. It's combine time.
And Mike Diggs, you have the 108, 109, 201. Plan to go Kyron and then either Pickens, Dotson, or Sky.
You might be able to.
Don't lock yourself into players now. You really got to see landing spot too. That will make a difference.
I say it might go like Dotson, Pickens, Kyron. I mean, again, yeah, we'll see what happens with Kyron Williams is going to be.
Kyron Williams is going to fall a little bit.
I think the wide receivers might push him down a little bit. I'm starting to believe that. I'm not sure that Kyron. Ooh, that was a nice little move. Who's that? I'm not sure. I'm not. Sorry.
Oh man.
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I'm getting distracted.
Yes.
I haven't even had any drinks yet tonight. I think that Kyron might get squeezed out by some of these wide receivers in the late first round. I think he'll be. I think you can get him for certain in the top of the second round if you really want him. I think in the first round, he might slide down a little bit, unless you have a glaring need at running back. Then okay, maybe you can make the case, but always get the talent, not necessarily the need.
And 102. You're currently leasing leaning Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. No, just we got a lot of time. A lot of dominoes got to fall.
I think it'll be Hall. I think Hall will be the consensus pick. Obviously, you do your own homework, you do your own research. You ultimately, you make your own decisions. Hall is I like Garrett Wilson. I like him a lot. I'm not sure he jumps Breece Hall. If I need a wide receiver, but I can get either one of those guys at this, there's still plenty of time for all of the dust to settle here. But Hall looks like he's going to have a high floor depending on the landing spot.
And my point with maybe packaging some seconds, if you have a plethora of firsts and a bunch of seconds to get back into the first round, is yes, there's a whole gang of wide receivers right there, Rojo Fish.
Yes, sir.
But if you look, Mike Diggs, you're saying you have Terrace Marshall and De'Ami Brown, and you're tempted to drop them to make room. Nah, dude.
Now keep those guys.
Especially Marshall. 1 year old. 1 year old as far as
they're a year old by NFL standards.
Second year wide receivers, they can. De'Ami Brown, he didn't show much, but as soon as they get a quarterback, he has a chance to finally. Nobody was doing anything in that
offense. Yeah.
Terrace Marshall, same thing. So
Sorry, Taylor Heineke, but you're
just
not
because you get these shiny new rookies in the second round doesn't mean you should be dropping Terrace Marshall and De'Ami Brown. You should be consolidating those seconds into maybe another first, maybe a mid-round first, so that you don't have to cut Terrace Marshall, so that you don't have to cut De'Ami Brown. But then maybe you get Drake London. Maybe you get Chris Olave instead of a collection of guys, because I mean, if you opted for drafting a bunch of second round wide receivers last year versus trading them all for a mid first round wide receiver, would you rather have Jalen Waddle or Terrace Marshall, De'Ami Brown, and like that's what you're getting in the second round. They all sound great. They all look great at the combine. But I would rather have Jalen Waddle than Terrace Marshall, De'Ami Brown, and Kadarius Toney. So, and those were all guys that were being drafted in the second round. Yes, some of them you can hit on a guy in the second round. T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's not impossible. But consolidating some of those seconds, even though we like a lot of these prospects, into a first-round pick where it's a much surer thing with much higher upside, especially when you have multiple firsts there, is not a dumb move. It's forward thinking. But you should not be thinking about dropping Terrace Marshall.
Nah.
De'Ami Brown, maybe. But even then, he's only had 1 year where he was playing with Taylor Heineke, who wasn't even supposed to be playing because it was supposed to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, who isn't any great either. But
he's
you know what I mean.
40 years old and done. I mean, was Diami? Did Diami miss time too?
Yeah,
he was time to injury. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, as a rookie,
if you have Dwayne Eskridge, sure, drop him.
Sure, fine.
But like, don't be dropping Terrace Marshall and De'Ami Brown. They still hold value.
Yeah, he made a couple plays here and there.
I'm all on board trading some of the seconds you've accumulated for another first.
Like
even if it's not this year.
Quantity.
If you have 3 firsts and you want to do who was it that threw in that trade earlier on? Was it you, Theo?
Oh, for
you
Noah
Fant? A bunch of them for a first 2 years.
Oh, for like 3 seconds for a 2024 first.
Right,
yeah.
Right. That's not a bad move. And
like
if you can
trade
make
like
that happen in this draft and solidify again, getting a Drake London or a Chris Olave over a collection of dudes that you're hoping one of them pans out. Because then you end up with 1 dude and 2 roster cloggers. You don't want roster cloggers. You want starters.
Jelani Woods also had the most bench reps for the tight end spot today, so he's flying up. His stock's going up.
So
Trey McBride came in 5th. 18. Jelani Woods had 24 bench press reps.
So if he was the fastest and the strongest,
he's clearly the greatest.
I mean, RAS-wise. Yes.
Jelani Woods, baby.
Exactly.
Put him down, boys. Put him down. Jelani Woods.
Oh
Keep an eye on him.
Do it.
Jelani Woods at the tight end spot, especially you tight end premium players. Ooh, baby.
Hey.
He's having a nice day in Indy. And yeah, okay, so Mike needs a running back. If the value fits the need, I'm taking Hall over Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson. I like him a lot. Very high on his long-term outlook. I'll take Breece Hall. If I can only choose one at the second pick today, at least right now, and short of something outstanding happening with Wilson between the combine and the landing spot and all that, I don't think that changes.
And yeah, landing spot is less of a worry for a running back. If a team is drafting a running back in the first 2 rounds, he's gonna get work.
He's just gonna get work.
Workload within the first 1 to 2 seasons at least.
Yep.
If not much further than that. You would hope much further than that. But, I mean, a wide receiver being drafted in the first or second round, sometimes those guys don't see a ton of work until year 2. And sometimes they don't pan out. The hit rate for running backs drafted early is a lot better than the hit rate for wide receivers drafted early.
Yep.
So we like Garrett Wilson a lot. But if you're going for the sure thing, regardless of landing spot, it's
Hall will help, right? Hall will help you this year.
Yeah.
Hall helps you this year. Wilson might help you this year.
There should be too.
Yeah, there should be opportunities, but it might be less likely.
And Breece Hall's a young running back. He's not coming in old too,
yep.
So that's another thing to factor in.
Another
feather in his cap.
My bad. I missed Slim. Slim's got a trade. Michael Carter in a 2024 first for Jacobs. I feel like you might think that
Carter in the 24 first.
You'd rather have Carter in the first.
Yeah. From a fantasy perspective, I feel like Michael Carter is going to be putting up around the same points as Josh Jacobs.
I mean, the Jets did seem to be willing to commit to giving Carter most of the work when he was available.
Yeah.
Jacobs has the better situation this year, probably. The offensive line is not good for either one. Shouldn't be anywhere to go but up for both of them as far as the offensive line. Jacobs is a little more proven. I'm intrigued by Carter. I did call him a buy low a few weeks ago. Maybe not a buy low, but just a buy in general. Because I do think the Jets are going to commit to him a little bit more in his sophomore season. Assuming that, like everybody, the Jets got wrecked by COVID this year, and Michael Carter I think he had a couple of injuries that kept him out of the lineup. But with COVID likely not being a factor for the first time in 2 years, starting in 2022, it's just going to come down to good old-fashioned, can you stay healthy for Carter. I think the Jets are not a team that are a potential landing spot for a running back. Not that the Raiders are either, but this is just a pro Michael Carter point. And he can catch. They both can catch the ball, but Jacobs has a little bit more direct competition, assuming Kenyon Drake comes back. Assuming he might not. I think he only signed like a 2-year deal, so maybe he's a cut candidate.
Look, we didn't talk about the Jets as a wide receiver landing spot. They are a wide receiver.
Jets are a wide receiver landing spot.
Didn't put him on my list because they technically already have that position filled, but they could use one more. They've been vocal about being bullish on the opportunity to get another wide receiver out there and run 3 wide with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and whoever they can get.
And incoming rookie. Yeah, if you don't have 3 wide receivers in today's NFL, you don't have enough.
But my point in that being,
the Jets fit
Michael Carter is going to be seeing a lot of soft defenses. He's not going to be running 8 men in a box. I feel like you're selling Michael Carter short.
Only if Zach Wilson is like not good, which is possible.
I feel like you're selling.
I'm not trying to sell Michael Carter short.
Michael Carter short if you're giving him plus a 24 first for Jacobs.
Well, the 2024 first is kind of what does it for me. That's where I'm like, I like Josh Jacobs. I don't want to give up that package for Josh Jacobs.
Michael Carter's 2 years younger than Josh Jacobs. I feel like he's a compiler. He gets a ton of volume.
He's a volume guy.
And that leads to very good fantasy production. But from an efficiency standpoint, he's one of the least efficient on a per-touch basis running backs in the NFL. There's no way to cut it. Now, he is still relatively young for having 3 years in the league and the success that he's had thus far. And he plays for a team that should be ascending. So there is a lot to like about Jacobs.
I like the McDaniels hire.
I would rather have Michael Carter than Jacobs almost straight up if I'm in Dynasty.
In Dynasty, yeah. I like the McDaniels coaching hire for Jacobs. I think I prefer the package that was given up. I do. I think I prefer the Carter 2024 first.
Yeah.
Look, Jacobs has RB1 upside, or let's put it this way: he has a top 20 floor. He's incredibly he's safe, but he's safe from the perspective that he's up and down. He'll win you a week, and then it'll be like let's put it this way: on the road in Kansas City, I'm nervous about Josh Jacobs that week. I have no choice but to play him. But if they're down 21-0 early, he's the type of player to get phased out. Even though he caught the ball at a higher rate than he ever has this past year. But we've seen Josh Jacobs be one of the most game script dependent running backs in the league. He still delivers top 15, finishes on the season when it's all said and done. But there's it's not consistent. It's peaks and valleys to get there. That's all.
Michael Carter's ceiling, absolute ceiling, is Devonta Freeman in his prime.
Man, Freeman was a pretty physical runner. I guess Carter could be that.
Carter could be that. Also, last year we saw multiple games where Ty Johnson was getting double-digit or near double-digit targets.
Yeah, that was with Mike White.
Those should be going to Michael Carter. Those workloads, while Ty Johnson might still be involved, those workloads should be going to Michael Carter because he's just as good of a receiving back as Ty Johnson. Don't be selling Michael Carter at his floor, especially when Josh Jacobs is at his. I mean, he's valued close to his ceiling right now, from what I can tell. I just wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't do that.
Yeah. No, I'm intrigued by Carter moving forward.
If you're into buying Jacobs, go for it.
Go get Jacobs.
Not for this. Not for this. If the 24 first really doesn't mean much to you, see if you can package that with something else that isn't Michael Carter to get Josh Jacobs.
Well, it looks like he did. I think he did the trade already.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
it's a done deal.
If it's a contender move. If you're a contender and you need a guy who's going to be a high-end RB2 most weeks for this year and next year, then that's what Josh Jacobs is. And
that's what he can give you.
He can still get you to a championship, and he can still put enough points up to get you a championship year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just from a future standpoint, that's a lot to give up. A first round coming into his second year. Yeah. Not first round. First year coming into his second year running back, and a first in a class you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight into the 24 class yet? I know you were looking at running backs. There's a running back you like. There's a tight end that everybody likes. There's the next Kyle Pitts coming through, the next Rob Gronkowski coming through in 2024.
We'll see about that.
I mean, we talked about him on stream. It was the freshman who went over 1,000 yards as a tight end.
Shoot.
You know what I'm talking about?
He went to Georgia. He went to Georgia, where he's from.
The next Manning is going to be in that class.
Arch.
Isn't he? Isn't Arch Manning going to be in the 2024 class?
He might be 2020. Maybe. He might be 2025, but it'll be around that time. The tight end is I think he's from Georgia. I forget his name. I'm blanking, but he looks pretty damn good. So yeah, I won't sit here and pretend I know, much more about the 2024 class yet, but we'll get acclimated with them soon enough.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know if you had any insight, if you'd been keeping tabs, because you watch more college than I do.
Only a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slim. Look, I am a big fan of the McDaniels hire for Jacobs. McDaniels is notorious. John has concerns that this might mean the Raiders use more backs. They might use more running backs, and there might be a pass catching specialist that, if it's not Kenyon Drake, it's somebody else that ends up in Vegas and ends up siphoning those targets away from Jacobs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I necessarily. If it happens, so be it. If they sign a guy, then so be it. But I do think the McDaniels signing, me personally, is a feather in Jacobs' cap. So if you believe in that, if you believe in Josh McDaniels unlocking Josh Jacobs, then by all means. I traded for Jacobs this offseason myself. So I have stock in there as well.
And I traded him away in season for a package that ended up netting me AJ Brown.
So there you go.
But I'm not. Yeah, I guess I am kind of down on Jacobs.
Yeah,
but
apparently.
Not because I don't think he's going to be a good fantasy asset. I just think he is what he is. And the reason people are buying, really keen on buying him, is because he's still only 24. But
he's still very young. He's still the feature
back. And that tight end prospect was Brock Bowers. That's who it was.
Bowers. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Is he Georgia? Was I right on that?
Yes. Yep.
Hey, I got something right.
But no, he's a fine running back. He's just unexciting, and that's.
He's boring. He's a little boring. But guess what? You know who was
too hard on him. But
you know who has been billed as boring for a lot of his career? We talked about him earlier. Chris Carson, like a boring fourth round pick where it's not flashy, it's not exciting.
No, Chris Carson was an exciting running back to watch. Josh Jacobs isn't even exciting to watch. He just gets a ton of work.
Yeah, he gets the work.
Chris Carson was running people over, and was starting to emerge as a threat in the pass catching game, not just catching a swing and falling down.
Not boring in the sense of like their style of play. Boring in the sense of the fantasy pick. There's nothing flashy about that pick itself. It's not a sexy pick, quote unquote, or so to speak, right? That's how I feel Jacobs is. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but in the 4th or 5th round, and now I'm talking about kind of redraft, it's like it's doable. It's solid. It'll like you could do worse. It's a safe play.
No, in redraft, I like him a whole lot more, actually.
Okay.
But we can keep going around in circles.
We can keep
Jacobs,
going.
But,
I agree, Slim. I do think the targets are going to go up. I think he catches more passes, and I think he'll be all right. I personally, I do agree that I don't think that's the package I would want to give up for him, but I am higher on Jacobs, not just for redraft, but at least for a short-term dynasty ad than I think John is. For the next 5 years, I don't know. But for the next 2 or 3,
and your need is running back, there's a lot worse moves you can make than going and getting Josh Jacobs. He's just not an exciting buy for me. That's all.
Oh, I didn't know that Kenny Pickett originally committed to Temple. How about that? That was when Matt Rhule was still the coach. Now I'm just picking up little pieces of little tidbits at the combine. But anyway, we are at 2 hours, so I think we are coming up on a close here. Even though John could probably go another 4, but we will. We'll take Theo's question about Michael Carter. Don't we all? But we can take a couple more questions before we call it. But of course, as always, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out with us, talking fantasy, even during the doldrums of the off season. Well, the combine makes it a little bit more exciting today, but appreciate y'all as always.
Absolutely.
But Theo, how do we think Michael Carter's going to do this year? I guess, we kind of alluded to it. I think we're both feeling good about him. I was all the way out on him last year, at least from a redraft perspective, last year. But I don't know if I'm ready to say I'm all the way in, but I am way more interested in him this year. I think he's going to get featured a little bit more than he was last year. To your point, John, earlier about Ty Johnson soaking up like 10 target games a couple times this year. Again, that came with Mike White. That didn't come with Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson can stay healthy, that opportunity is just not going to happen for Ty Johnson, most likely. Will he mix in some? Yeah, sure. He's a running back in 2022. Teams use more than one running back, unless, except for like 1 or 2 or 3 teams. So Michael Carter might not necessarily be a quote unquote in the most, what's the word I'm looking, literal sense of the word, a 3-down back. He might not be that, but I think he's going to get the majority of the work from the Jets backfield. And the Jets are, call it what you want, whether it's a marginal improvement or not, they have to be considered a team that's trending up. I'm not sure how I feel about Zach Wilson long-term, but this is the Jets' opportunity to put some extra talent around him on offense while he's still on a rookie deal. If this offensive line can improve even a little bit and they can add another threat, another playmaker at wide receiver,
10 picks.
Like, they're going to get some good young talent on this offense that's going to help everybody that's already there.
And they have 2 early second rounders. They have the 3rd pick in the second round and the 6th pick in the second round. So they have 2 picks early in each round.
So
they're going to get better at O-line because that is the strength of this draft class.
So I would put 2 picks into the offensive line.
And they already have the guy that struggled a little bit last year but was a rookie last year. What was his name?
Becton?
Yeah. Mekhi Becton. Left
Struggled a
tackle
little
last
bit,
year.
but
He's going to
not
be
ready.
probably
Yeah,
their right tackle this year. But they're
not
probably
ready to
gonna,
give up on him.
They're probably going to draft the left tackle of the future in this draft, and it's going to be a good one. That line is going to be a lot better for Zach Wilson and Michael Carter this season. They're going to go out and get probably another offensive weapon that, like we alluded to earlier. Yep. This is an ascending team with Michael Carter.
Yeah, the offense should be fun. Like, I don't know how much better the defense will be, so they could find themselves in situations where they need to keep scoring. They need to keep the pressure on. They can't, and even if they have the lead, guess what? Michael Carter's going to get the ball.
Now, I would not be surprised to see the Jets get another running mate out there with Michael Carter. Because Michael Carter,
they only spent a 4th-round pick on Carter.
Split time with Javonte Williams.
Yes,
there were workload concerns when he came in. Is he going to be a full-time running back, or is he going to be in more of a timeshare? Last year, he ended up in a timeshare with lesser competition. They could bring in stronger competition and just continue to run a two-headed monster out there.
Run, Kenny. Kenny Pickett, 4.6740.
Kenny Pickett's up there.
Kenny Pickett, 4.67 in the 40.
Hey.
There you go. Desmond Ridder, Brock Purdy, and then Desmond Ritter's coming up after that. So,
but yeah, we both like Michael Carter, and we both like.
Yeah, I'm very interested in Michael Carter. Very interested in Michael Carter.
Slim,
for sure.
You got CMC, Najee, Dobbins, Etienne, and Jacobs.
You loaded. Okay. Hey, I'll tell you what. That depth makes me. It's like, okay, now Jacobs is just awesome depth for you. So, yeah, your running backs are great.
Yeah, you just have to be wary of making moves you don't absolutely need to for the sake of having good-looking depth. I've done that.
Yeah.
I've made that mistake before. And looking at your depth you weren't
good.
Really in need of a running back upgrade here at your 5th running back, and you gave up 1st-round draft capital to make your 5th running back look a little better.
Yeah,
so you got to be a little bit wary of moves like that. But last year, you would have been very happy to have Josh Jacobs there at your 5th-round running back. So, maybe I should take everything I just said back, because you couldn't rely on Etienne, Dobbins, or CMC. So you had Najee and probably Michael Carter.
And Michael Carter, who at the time was not a reliable RB2 at all.
So, hey, if that happens again, you're going to be feeling real good about having Josh Jacobs. So that's a contender move.
Yeah. I don't running back depth is fine.
I don't hate the trade. You just have to be wary in the future of making moves, giving up good draft capital to make your depth look better.
Yeah.
Because I've done that. And it doesn't always work out.
See what happens. Desmond Ridder, 4.5 in the 40, so pretty good for the quarterback. Just wanted to call that out. That is the last thing I'm going to say about the combine, at least watching it from my TV and then relaying it to it today.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys
for
tuning
at time.
In. Yeah, we had a bunch of people in here today. Thanks to everybody for being part of the conversation. We appreciate
always.
You. Next Tuesday, I'm going to try to make the stream. I'm going to be coming back from.
John's visiting family, so we'll see we'll see what we can make happen on Tuesday. But the intent, as always,
is back in time. So we'll see. We'll talk about that.
If we got to push it back an hour, maybe have like a little shortened stream. We'll figure something out. But as always, at Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, the intent is for us to be here. That's the intent.
Yes, sir.
So appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. Enjoy your weekends, whether you're going to be glued to the combine or whatever you're doing. Everybody have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
And consolidate your seconds into firsts.
And consolidate your assets.
Do it.
That's what it's all about.
Peace, y'all.
See you, everybody.